Well, I do think that Sussex Overdrive is unbelievable. But I mean, I don't think that he is going to get back in, which showed that he is very commercially minded, which we'll get into later on, which makes it impossible for him. And of course, Meghan wouldn't come back to Britain.
Harry and Meghan, the other side, smiling and all the rest of it.
Is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Right.
The Netflix series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from here. I think she has a major problem.
It was Meghan speaking, and now we know it's Meghan speaking again. And so this isn't because the book contains that her brand was in great trouble. American Riviera Orchard, that she had allegedly nicked the idea. She wanted wealth and she wanted fame. And she targeted, there's no doubt she targeted Harry.
And that was very critical because at that moment last year, she was about to promote her Netflix series and didn't want to firstly be seen with Harry, and secondly didn't want to go somewhere where she'd appear cheap. Declining, I think that his reputation is somewhat toxic, and I think Invictus is his only lifeline, and that's what she used as a weapon at the time. So there were quite a few things about her personal life. I'll work them into another book, I think. Meghan didn't like the surname Mountbatten Windsor. If you remember, in her first lifestyle series with Meghan with Them Forever, she says to Carling that her surname isn't Markle but Sussex. And she was desperate to get it. She said, we'd never had a proper surname. And of course they did.
By not telling the palace what she's going to do. And I think the most interesting story is the Reitman story. Reitman's is like a Marks and Spencer's in Canada.
In Revenge, you talk about how Meghan's lack of knowledge about British history meant she could not understand that Diana had won the public's affection.
She was warned before she married what the nature of being Harry's wife and part of the royal family would be, and the nature of how she ignored all that advice. For two reasons. One is she really did believe she could do what she wanted. And secondly, I don't believe she ever intended to stay. She always intended to take the title, take the connections and get back to California.
Some public images don't just crack, they implode. And according to Tom Bauer, that implosion has already started for Meghan Markle. Once portrayed as a misunderstood icon, she now faces a relentless unraveling, not driven by gossip, but by hard evidence. Evidence that doesn't whisper, it shouts. And Bauer, one of the most formidable biographers alive, has just delivered his most damning revelation yet.
Meghan's agenda and Meghan's living with Meghan is very different than living with Kate and William. Meghan has a completely different attitude, and I think California has a different attitude. So I think we're now seeing a different Harry, and to his misfortune, it is not a Harry that appeals to the same sort of people in the same numbers as previous.
For years, Meghan sold the world a tale of royal injustice, personal trauma, and a palace that never accepted her. But with Netflix deals collapsing and Spotify severing ties, one question grows louder. Was any of it real? According to Tom Bauer, the truth is finally catching up, and what he exposes isn't just uncomfortable, it's devastating.
What Meghan never really understood, probably not even now, is that when she was chaired as a working royal, it wasn't because she was Meghan Markle, it was because she represented British.
Bauer claims Meghan didn't simply blur the truth, she reinvented it. She didn't just tell stories, she rewrote history. She monetized royalty, erased her past, and wielded public sympathy like a weapon.
There was that, but I've got to tell you, my research for my new book, the number of times she was warned before she married what the nature of being Harry's wife and part of the royal family would be, and the nature of how she ignored all that advice. For two reasons. One is she really did believe she could do what she wanted.
It all starts with a single fact. Meghan never intended to stay. From day one, Bauer says she viewed her royal title not as a commitment, but as a launch pad. Tradition wasn't her goal, transformation was. Meghan didn't aim to become a royal. She aimed to become a brand. And in branding, the truth is optional. But her ambition wasn't reckless, it was calculated. Bauer cites the Lilibet scandal as one of the most unforgivable moves. The Queen's private childhood nickname trademarked by Meghan and Harry before anyone even told the Queen about the baby's name. Not a tribute, not a surprise, a marketing maneuver.
Loves money. Meghan's very commercial. She doesn't want to be poor. And then having got all that, she then saw how she needed a consort, a husband who's going to take her to the next stage. And she was on a manhunt. There's no doubt. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being on a manhunt. There are women hunts too. But I mean, she was determined.
When Harry claimed they had permission, the palace did something nearly unprecedented. It went on record to the BBC, stating he lied. The Queen was furious, and the palace stood firm. The truth wasn't misunderstood, it was manipulated. And that manipulation didn't stop there. Meghan's public brand thrived on hardship. Lonely childhoods, scarce meals, emotional wounds. But Bauer's reporting paints a very different picture. Her father, Thomas Markle, provided private schools, acting classes, and designer clothes.
Desperate to be seen.
Yeah.
And that's why she turned up. So I think she has a major problem, financially and professionally. And I think that Harry has a problem.
Even her university tuition, additions, and every dream were fully supported by her father, never a single refusal. Yet when that version of her childhood clashed with the image Meghan wanted, she erased him. The man who raised her became inconvenient, replaced by a carefully crafted origin story. One detail Bauer exposes stops you in your tracks. The famous Procter & Gamble commercial she claimed sparked her activism? It never happened. No records, no letters, not even her father remembers it. It was a myth retrofitted to fit a new narrative, a pattern Meghan would repeat again and again. Then came the Oprah interview. The global stage, the softly lit, emotionally charged rebranding meant to silence critics and reshape their legacy. Bauer doesn't just question it, he dismantles it, citing 17 contradictions, all facts, not opinions.
To create her own brand and image in the whole Netflix series, of lifestyle series. She was told she had to give up being the wicked witch in terms of the royal family. She should put that all behind her and not mention them, because people want to see her, not all the time complaining. She couldn't resist, because in the end, one of Meghan's many deficiencies is she has nothing to say. There's no originality.
Meghan claimed she and Harry were secretly married 3 days before the official wedding. The Archbishop of Canterbury publicly denied it. She suggested Archie was denied a title because of race. Bauer explains the rules predated her arrival in the family and had nothing to do with skin color. And when she said she was denied help during a mental health crisis, palace logs prove doctors, staff, and resources were always available. The interview wasn't a revelation, it was a performance. Meghan's gravest mistake, Bauer says, was assuming the applause was for her. During the Australia tour, cheering crowds and glowing headlines painted a flawless picture, but behind the scenes, staff tell a different story.
Always has to fight for a place. She has to fight for the spotlight. She has to fight to be seen, and being seen is critical to her. And, she can't, if there's another shooting, she can't fly there as she did.
Meghan demanded changes mid-tour, snapped at aides, threw tea, and acted, in their words, like a Hollywood diva. She believed she was the new Diana, not a supporting royal.
But I don't want to do that. And the other thing is, I've done nothing wrong. There's nothing that points to me and says I'm a bad guy. As a matter of fact, I'm a really loving father, and she knows that. And there's no excuse for her to treat me this way. No excuse to treat the king that way as well.
And when she realized she would always rank behind Catherine, she made a decision. She wouldn't compete inside the system, she would dismantle it from the outside. The next betrayal didn't happen in public, it happened in secret. During the Queen's funeral, Harry and Meghan stood beside William and Catherine, accepting condolences, feigning reconciliation. But no one knew, not even William, that they had already recorded their Netflix attacks. Hours of accusations were edited, finalized, ready for release. While the world mourned, Harry smiled for the cameras. fully aware of what was coming.
And she gets into one of the best university colleges of America, Northwestern, because of her education and background. So by no means anything other than a happy childhood, although a broken...
Bauer calls it deception at the highest level. Not grief, not misunderstanding, but strategy. Meghan's obsession with Diana didn't stop at symbolism. The clothes, jewelry, and poses were all intentional. But Bauer uncovers something even more troubling.
And of course, they're not allowed to come to the dinner after the wedding. I mean, people whom he'd known for years. And even at the wedding of Tommy Inskip in Jamaica, one of the parents who was there told me that Meghan had behaved appallingly. They just couldn't understand why Harry was going out with her. She didn't like the food, she didn't like them.
Allegedly, Meghan and Harry asked Diana's brother, Earl Spencer, if they could adopt the Spencer surname for their family, not as a tribute, but as branding. They wanted to drop Mountbatten Windsor and become Spencers, tying themselves directly to Diana's legacy. The request was denied instantly. The message was clear: you don't inherit Diana's light by imitating her shadow.
And believed she was as important to the monarchy as Princess Diana, you write in the book. And her visit to Australia in October 2018 only boosted that view. The more Harry drew parallels with his mother, and the more Meghan must have been convinced of her importance to the monarchy. Do you still think she's that delusional?
As the stories unraveled, the world began to notice. Hollywood stepped back. Publicists stopped answering calls. Collaborations stalled. Spotify dropped their podcast deal amid public criticism. Netflix cooled on future projects. Archwell's impact reports dwindled.
And what I really thought at the end of it as well was this, which I think is a very, very pertinent point. When they came across for the Queen's funeral, and there was that amazing scene outside the castle of meeting the well-wishers in the walk, there was always talk of reconciliation. Charles and William and Kate go one side, Harry and Meghan the other side, smiling and all the rest of it. But at that time, William didn't know that Harry and Meghan had already recorded their poison for Netflix. It was already edited. All the stuff that we heard today about Charles lying, about William screaming and shouting, was in the can, was being edited. And they duplicitously did not reveal what they were.
Approval ratings sank to record lows in the UK, the US, even Australia. Public sympathy ran dry. The narrative that once captivated the world stopped selling.
In Meghan's mind, she is Diana.
Yes.
I mean, Diana Spencer is Meghan Spencer. And that was all part of her imagination that somehow she could inherit the glow of her dead mother-in-law. So I think that was another reason for Charles.
Yeah.
But in Harry's view, this was his mother all over again. What Meghan never really understood, probably not even now, is that when she was
Bauer's final verdict is merciless. Meghan's collapse isn't the result of a single mistake, it's a pattern. She didn't just make one bad decision. She repeated the same missteps over and over. Rewrite the past, blame others, play the victim, repeat, until the truth becomes unavoidable.
Because when she phoned up the two senators to campaign for women's maternity pay, she said, hello, this is Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex.
Yeah,
I mean, she plays the royal card the whole time. So I don't think that would play well in the election for Congress or even the Senate. So I think they've got to realign their image. I mean, I think in any case, they're burning out their royal status pretty fast.
Media deals are gone. The Palace Bridge is burned. The public no longer listens. And the one card she played every time I was wronged no longer works. But the harshest truth of all is yet to come.
I think they've got a real identity crisis, which will be resolved in the next few months, one way or another. And I don't think it can be to the good. But the point about it is, you see, they're notorious.
According to Bauer, Meghan's greatest enemy isn't the press, the public, or even the royals. It's the very brand she built. A carefully crafted version of herself that couldn't survive the truth.
She wanted the cover and control of the content, and they had a huge argument. And that meant that he was really finished with her. He'd had enough of her prima donna behavior, and that's why he's dumped her. But also, I mean, from his point of view, what does she now bring? There isn't anything original. There's no great sales point there. And I think you've got to look at something else. You mentioned at the beginning
Now that the truth is out, there's nothing left to protect the image she created. Once the mask slips, it cannot be put back on, and what comes next may be even more devastating than the fall itself.